I thought you were shooting me.
Yeah.
Oh. How's everything? You tell us. How's everything?
So we're all here, and in an informal setting, I'm very happy about that. Very good evening again to all of you. We had some good music from Azurin, which we will continue later. Okay, we're all here for the official opening of VND's Jameel Prize 3 exhibition in Singapore. We have with us today the Minister for Communications and Information, Dr. Yaqub Ibrahim, Professor Alan Chan, Dean of the College of Humanities, Arts and Social Sciences, Haji Abdul Jalil, founder of SM Jalil Foundation, Mr. Tim Stanley, the Senior Curator at the Victoria Albert Museum. There are so many other important guests as well. Their Excellencies, High Commissioners from Great Britain and New Zealand are here, if I'm correct, are they on the way. As well as the delegates, many of them who have become friends in the last 2 days, and distinguished guests as well. Bringing this exhibition together in time for the International Forum on Contemporary Islamic Art, Design and Architecture was not an easy task. It all happened with help of many people and organizations, and some of us are here today. And I wish to take this opportunity to acknowledge them. First of all, I would like to acknowledge Ambassador Shabir Hassanbai, our ambassador to Nigeria. He's not here because there's a conference on Africa going on in London. And he was the first to walk with me when I said we have to bring this. And then we went to Haji Abdul Jalil, and without saying anything, he said, this looks like a good cause. And within an hour, I got an answer from him. And he has funded the entire amount for this exhibition today. And we have Hui Sim Tan, again, she's not here, the curator at NLB. And when we said we need space, and we had run out of space, because this is SG50, remember? And Hui Sim Tan said, we will offer you the 10th floor. And that offered us the next step. And then we have Mr. Maidin Pakir from Creative Arts and Culture. He said, we will support you with all the public outreach programs that we want. So we had them. Of course, Professor Alan Chan, our Dean, and Professor Viveka Sorensen, the Chair of ADM, who's not here today. She has another assignment in New York. They were always supporting us for both the conference and this exhibition. And many others we have. Okay. I would like all of you to join me in applauding these organizations and great people that I've come to know and work with. And of course, a special mention to Minister Yaqub, who has created time for us to be here today. Let's welcome him. Now, I'm sure the people who I'm going to mention are around here are too busy, but I would like to say that it was an all Singapore team, and most of them are alumni of a School of Art Design Media who helped and put this together. And it was an international event that was made possible by an all Singapore team. I have Ifa, Sharifa, Gizyanti. I'm not sure they're here. They were always running around. And they were the designers, the graphic and the exhibition designers who put together. And they are graduates of visual communication and product design from ADM. And we also have Saira, who's right behind. She's a recent graduate and offered to be the project manager. And I know it's a very hard task. And then we have Jean Sai, who is our exhibition consultant. We needed somebody to consult because we need to know the nuances of, she's behind us. And we have Riza Yaqub, again from Creative Arts and Culture, who's been with us for a long time. And Alvin Toh from NLB, I have been bothering him for the last 2 months. And he's an excellent person. I think he went home, he said, no, not today, la. So he's been very busy helping me. And he said, and then we have an excellent team from School of Art Design Media. I cannot thank them enough. Mustajab, Kumar, Arifin, Veliang, and Peng Yu, they were all the time with us, and this is working because of them. So I would like you to join with me again and congratulating them for all. We have met every weekend, almost Saturdays and Sundays. Sorry to my wife, lovely wife who's standing here. We have spent our time planning this together because, of course, we have a large team at the Victoria and Albert Museum. And I cannot mention all of them. Mr. Tim Stanley is here. We have Vanessa in London, Jenny, Claire, Chris. They were always on our neck. The only problem is that when they come to office, it's almost the end of the day for me. And then I have a second shift to do with them all the time. So this has been a very interesting trip for us. And Dr. Guldinaj, who was also another person who walked the walk with me, and she was in charge of getting the conference together. So all of us had worked our way into this, and this is a special day for us. And thank you all for coming. And with that, I would like to invite Professor Alan Chan to say a few words. Alan.
Thank you very much, dear. Mr. Yaqub Ibrahim, Minister for Communications and Information, Mr. S.M. Jalil of the S.M. Jalil Foundation of Singapore, Dr. Tim Stanley, Senior Curator of the Victoria and Albert Museum, distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you so much for coming. On behalf of NTU, I'm delighted to welcome all of you to the opening of the Jameel Prize 3 exhibition in Singapore. As all of you know, the Jameel Prize has firmly established itself on the global art scene. And we are truly delighted to be able to collaborate with the Victoria and Albert Museum on this project. The School of Art, Design and Media at ADM has worked very, very hard to put this together, and more especially in conjunction with a wonderful international conference on contemporary Islamic art, design and architecture. Now you know that NTU is not just an engineering university. We have a truly vibrant and wonderful art school And there are three simple missions that we try to achieve. To educate, of course, the next generation of leaders in art, design, and media. To do research and to produce art at the highest level. And three, equally important, to engage the public, to share the fruits of our intellectual labor. And this exhibition is very much a part of that larger effort on the part of our School of Art, Design and Media and the university as a whole to bring university learning and research to Victoria Street. Art is something that we cherish. It is certainly not something, art is never just about making beautiful objects, and still less about entertainment. Art is important because it conveys insight and meaning that is essential to human flourishing. Art also affords mutual understanding across cultures, and it provides a much needed space, I think, for social harmony to grow and flourish. Singapore, as you all know, is a thoroughly multicultural society, and Islam is deeply rooted in the Singapore multicultural fabric. Yet, among all the great traditions of the world, Islam is probably less understood. Its rich artistic heritage very often neglected, and its very vibrant contemporary developments in art, design, and architecture still less known and understood. And for that reason, we encouraged ADM to put together the International Forum on Contemporary Islamic Art, Design, and Architecture. And I'm so glad that so many scholars from Singapore and abroad are able to join us in this venture. I hope this will generate greater understanding, awareness, and appreciation of the rich culture of Islam. And I think the exhibition tonight will further that effort in creating awareness and appreciation of the rich artistic traditions of Islam. Once again, thank you very much, Minister, for joining us tonight. I also would like to say a special thanks to the SM Jalil Foundation. Without your generous sponsorship, this would not have been possible. And like Pierre has said, the support of the National Library is also much appreciated. But before I end, I should really thank my two colleagues, Pierre Satif and Gul Inash, who are the architects of this exhibition and conference. They actually came to me over a year ago, almost 18 months. That's how long and hard they have devoted themselves to this wonderful project. Thank you, Pierre, and thank you, Gul. And of course, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us tonight, and I wish everyone a very pleasant evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much. And as I said, Professor Alan Chan has been right with us and helping us all along. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Tim Stanley, Senior Curator at Victoria and Albert Museum, to say a few words.
Good evening. It's a great honour to be here in Singapore with the Jameel Prize 3, and I'd also like to thank the Minister for coming along and gracing our modest project with his presence. And also thank Mr. Jalil and Professor Chan. And I'd also like to say a special thank you to the other distinguished guests, including those from the conference who are here as a marvellous group of distinguished extras at this event. Thanks very much for coming along. As I said, I'm delighted to be here, and I'm acting on behalf of the director of the V&A in opening the Jameel Prize 3, which is presented by the School of Art, Design and Media at the NTU, here at the National Library. So already we see that there are lots of partners in this project. This is the fourth and final venue of the exhibition's international tour, and it's a great honour for us to present at the V&A show here for the first time. Jameel Prize 3 is an international award for contemporary art and design inspired by Islamic tradition, and it was created by me and by my V&A colleague Salma Turkan. This exhibition illustrates very well the role that the V&A plays in offering a platform for creative practitioners to meet a large public across the globe. The exhibition explores the relationship between Islamic traditions of art, craft, design and contemporary work as part of a wider debate about Islamic culture and its role today. On behalf of the V&A, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Art Jameel for their generous support, without which the exhibition and its tour wouldn't have been possible. And it's important to remember that as the curators of the Jameel Prize, we didn't invent it. This was an initiative, personal initiative of Muhammad Abdul Latif Jameel, and it's funded by Art Jameel, so it's very much a strong co-production with them, even before we start to do co-productions with NTU and the National Library. Our thanks also go to the shortlisted artists and designers, the Jameel Prize 3 nominators, some of whom are here today, and thank you very much, and the 185 artists and designers who prepared entries for the prize. So what we're going to see is just a small group of finalists drawn from those 185 entrants. Finally, I would also like to thank most warmly Pia Satik, Acting Associate Chair at the School of Art, Design and Media at NTU, and very much for his support. And thank you also to the staff of the National Library and NTU for their enthusiasm and hard work required to make the exhibition a success. And I hope you will think it's a success when you see how beautifully it's displayed and in what a lot of sort of elegant space. We very much hope that you and the public in Singapore will enjoy the show, and we look forward to many more collaborations with NTU and the National Library in Singapore. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tim, for being there from the beginning. He was the first person I met in London when I went to ask them, would this be on tour? So, but what's more interesting is only in Singapore you will see Jameel Prize 3 being supported by Jaleel family. And both are great families, and I thank both of them. And what I would like to do is the most important thing that we've been waiting for. I'd like to invite the Minister and Mr. Jaleel to officially open by cutting the ribbon. And President Alan Chan and Tim, please come with us. We will enter and then you will follow us.
Letter of the alphabet, there's one letter that's inlaid in mother of pearl. And obviously the way that the is rather like tatami mats. But actually, the whole thing is inspired by the idea of the carpet. So it's originally it's called concrete carpet. Oh, this, yeah, allows me to fly through this. Saudi Arabia is becoming a country with much more of an artistic tradition than it had before. So what he does, he uses, he's actually a very highly trained practitioner in calligraphy. That's what he's done, the sort of art sort of thing. The reason he was selected is because he uses them in new and interesting ways. Because we don't want people to just be doing sort of historicism and reproducing something from the past. They have to produce something that's felt to be relevant to a contemporary audience. And so, you know, that in this one he uses the word kullu, which means all or everything in Arabic. And so, but he uses a Western idea of perspective to change that into a repeat of Qur'an. It's recited. And in that way, he actually sort of represents what Qur'an means, because it's, you know, it turns into being a sort of, it creates a uniqueness within the image. And then, in this he is this is a hospital monitor. So it gives you a sense that the hospital, see, so he's used the line that you have on a hospital monitor to create a new calligraphic style. And this is part of Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihtana as-Sirat al-Mustaqim.
Is that right?
Yeah. And if you look at it long enough, you can see it.
Are you sure?
Well, you can see the Mustaqim at the end.
Oh, pandai.
So he's actually produced his own calligraphic style, which I think, you know, may not get catchy. So you're convinced now?
I'm convinced.
That's right.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So the third is he's someone who works, he trained at the Lahore School, and they have a very strong tradition of training people as in the tradition of what we call miniature. Yeah. So but what he's done is we've had several finalists from that school who've made their own contributions by doing something different with the skills they've learned. And in the case of what he does is he uses pen strokes, very, very small pen strokes, which he applies to create patterns of different kinds and on very different scales. So here you have a very large abstract pattern. It's made up of these tiny completed pen strokes. And then in here you have these different colours. The smaller, this is the sort of size that the DNA can use. Yeah, so you can use that. One way he sees it as he uses a form of Sufi practice so his concentration in the act is part of he does it at night and he's concentrating on it in a way that's like Sufi practice. So it's very it's a spiritual side.
This is interesting. This is all straight line. It's all straight line.
Yeah, so he's producing but each one's made of a freehand stroke. So it's not done with a ruler.
It's a free hand.
Yeah. And obviously he's done it. So he really does have to concentrate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a video clip of one of the reasons.
So if you concentrate on it,
I'm probably going to hit it.
so this artist is Said Ahmed, and he comes from Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan has a very, very strong tradition of making carpets. And so he works with carpet makers, but he does something terrible to their patterns. So this is his way of making them contemporary and somehow using them to reflect something about the modern world. So in fact that's the result of someone punching into the carpet, whereas that one's about pixelation, which I think we can understand. So he's using Islamic patterns to suggest a sort of something from the past which is very well ordered, which nowadays it isn't. So before we get to past these, I have to tell you, this is three gowns done by Paris, which is one of my two sisters on Bursate. And the dresses, this is the winning entry. And the idea is that it's called Istanbul Contrast. It's a much bigger series than this. And the dresses are actually inspired by the Ottoman architecture of Istanbul. And in fact, this one I like to tell the story that there's an English connection. Because in the 1530s in England, we had this huge destruction. It's rather like ISIS in Syria now, in which they destroyed the monasteries because the Reformation had come.
And the roofing of the monasteries was in lead. And this meant that there was Britain, England, produced a very large quantity of lead in the 16th century. So we had a market abroad for it, and it arrived in Turkey. And there's a point at which in Turkey they stop using roof tiles for domes, and they start to use lead. So what the sisters are doing is they're using the idea of the lead-covered domes, because the lead turns a sort of white, becomes a bit powdery over time. That's represented in this. So although it's probably not the lead of the monasteries, it's lead exported later, it's quite interesting that you end up with this in a collection in London, when it's based on a building in Turkey, that actually its roofing is the result of a historical event in Britain. And what this one in the series isn't quite so Islamic, because it's based on in the Hagia Sophia, which has been a mosque since 1453. But under the dome are these 4 huge mosaics of seraphim, and this dress is actually based on those seraphim. So it has wings like them. And in order to get some idea of the mosaic, they've used ancient glass beads to create the pattern on the dress. So this one is getting a little bit difficult to wear. It's like walking around in armour rather than... It's not particularly heavy, but it's very stiff. Yeah. So then the third one is another way of interpreting the domes in Istanbul through cloth. Yeah. He's actually not a Muslim, he's Jain. Yeah. But he's done this fantastic project in Varanasi. Yeah. Oh, Varanasi. So what he's done is he's taken the ideas that were current in terms of 16th and 17th century very high-end silk and precious metal thread textiles that were produced, for example, for the Mughal. And he's actually set up an organisation where the weavers, Muslim weavers in Varanasi, are able to reproduce the techniques. But if that in itself wouldn't really be very, very exciting for the Jameel Prize, but because when he's used designs, which although they use the structure of traditional textiles, the motifs he used are clearly modern. So I mean, he's created this link between. Sometimes he uses motifs that are drawn on Ottoman or Persian or Indian classical textiles. Yeah. But these he's done using a very.
And that is snow leopard and there's stork.
Oh yeah. Snow leopard is there. Yeah. You see all the birds. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. We'll see it, right?
My great grandfather. So this not only do we have Jane, we also have 2 French people. One of them is Laurent Maréchal, and what he does is he creates works of art which are not permanent, they're ephemeral. And so what this is, it's the pattern is based on the flooring in Palestinian homes, but you can see that it's actually the floor plan and the small arms, and you can see the wear on the tiles, but actually the whole thing, both the pattern itself and the wear, are reproduced using spices. So the whole thing is made of spice. You're actually not supposed to breathe too hard. He's the person who invented the typeface that's used in the popular. So what the thing is that the transition from handwriting to print comes relatively late in very extreme. But it's the actual amount of activities creating new is actually very small. You have to have devices around showing up each letter with each other. So it's actually more complicated than Latin. That may be one of the factors that become quite possible until the invention of the computer type system. So computer type system liberated Arabic font because you can do all the ligatures with no problem. Pascal's obviously has a practice in code. He's one of the people who have been at the forefront of devising new fonts. So this actually represents some of his ideas in terms of different types of fonts he's produced. So we've got two Lebanese and now we're coming to a second French. So this one is this is very nice jewellery that's based on the traditional jewellery of the female inhabitants of Western Sahara. And lot of the population of Western Sahara lives as refugees in Algeria. And they live in the desert, they have very, very few resources. So Flori Salno, who is the artist who's responsible for these designs, what she's invented as an activity that the people in the desert can reproduce, which is one of the few resources they have is plastic bottles. So she's devised a special tool that means you can, once you've spray painted with gold, you can create gold wire with which you can mould through because the sand is very hot, and you can produce this jewellery. Wow. So it's very. So it's a process. It's a process, yes. It's a process. It's gold jewellery made of plastic drink bottles. Gold paint. She's devised a tool for turning it into gold wire, which you then heat using hot sand, and you then weave it into these gold traditional.
This is what they do in the Sahara.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is what she's done. But she's created a process that can be repeated by the women living in the Sahara and gives them a source of income. That's the I'm sorry.
She's amazing. And this is really interesting.
which are used to suggest when that's charging forward. And this represents the development of the city, and there are, of course, ahead of growth and development. And it's characteristic in some ways.
Already did.